In today's video, you are going to learn how to build a complete content management system to manage all your videos, all your text posts, all your thumbnails, everything that you create in terms of content to post on social media or for your ads or whatever you do. You will learn how to build a complete system that does exactly what you wanted to do, the way you wanted to do it, and you're going to do that in, I think, less than 1 hour. Easy, with no code, with no cost. We're going to build it step by step. So yeah, welcome to another episode of System Saturday Live. I think this is the 5th episode where I show you how to use modern software solutions without code, without any technical know-how, to your advantage to exceed in either your business or your personal life. So I would say, without further ado, let's get right into it. By the way, this is the second version because on the first one I apparently didn't have sound. So I hope this works now. Thanks. Shout out to Raphael to let me know that. Now, let's get into the good stuff. We are going to build this content management system with a tool called Airtable. Airtable is a database tool. And after this hour of the System Saturday Live, you're going to end up, you're going to end up with something really cool, something like this here, where you have a complete dashboard of all your ongoing projects, where you see important numbers up here, where you can edit everything from this view, where you keep track of all your thumbnails, etc. And this here is actually made for my video editor because I recently hired a video editor. I want to post more video, but I'm too busy serving clients. And because of that, I hired a video editor and I need a very structured approach to communicate with her, to manage all these different projects. And yeah, I also think it's very useful for every one of you that doesn't have an editor, but wants to structure their thoughts and keep track of everything that you want to do. Because I think a lot of time we don't create content because there's a lot of friction. You know, it feels very stressful because it's overwhelming and there's so much shit going on, and then you have to take care of so many different things, and it makes it harder than it has to be. So content is really something I think that should be a creative process, very frictionless, very easy. So yeah, I'm super excited to show you that today. Now, the tool that we're going to use today is going to be a little bit different than what you know from the past couple of videos, where we talk more about automations and AI. Because we don't need automations for our content. We don't need AI for our content. We need honest, real content that comes from the heart. At least that is my belief. I know I showed you how you can create content scripts, etc. That sounds like you, and it can be a big help. But after all, at least for me, I still want to be in the middle of the creative process because that's what I love. That's why I'm sitting here on a Saturday night, right? If you see that differently, then this here might not be 100% the video for you. If you want content on fully auto mode, you probably want to watch one of the other episodes. If, though, you want to have a structured approach to your own working, to organize your thoughts and projects, then this here is exactly what you want. Now, there's probably 2 elephants in the room that I want to address before we get into it. The first one is, Linus, why would I spend time to build a solution for myself? Isn't there tools out there that do that already? Yes, there is content management tools like sand on the beach. There is a lot of content management tools, but I think a lot of them are focused on automating the scheduling of your content, not necessarily the whole creation process. Now, I don't schedule content ever, maybe on YouTube, but not on other platforms, especially not using third-party tools, because it has been said over and over again, especially for platforms like TikTok, that this actually decreases the reach of content. So I would probably not do that. Also, I like to post a finished project because it just feels cool. But what I want to do is have an automated process. And this brings us to the second thing. Linus, why don't we just use a Google Sheet? Can I not put everything into a Google Sheet? And yes, you can. Without getting too technical, if you have just videos, you could potentially put them all into a Google Sheet. If you don't really care about attachments and other stuff like this that is a little clunky in a Google Sheet, you can definitely do a Google Sheet and just, create all your projects or videos in there, give them a status, like a drop down, and then just go through that. But it's not going to give you a really nice surface for work that you just saw, like a Kanban system, or the reporting won't be as good. But the biggest thing is actually when you have different things that link together. Let me give you an example. YouTube video plus the thumbnail. Now, the YouTube video might be at a certain status and the thumbnail might be at a different status. And there's also additional information on the thumbnail. So now you may create another sheet for the thumbnail, but then linking all the data together can become very clunky really quickly. So this is why we use databases over sheets, right? Even though a lot of my corporate clients still try to use spreadsheets, it's breaking all the time. And this is why databases exist. And I know you think, oh, database, Linus, this sounds dreadful, this sounds dry. Please don't please don't talk about something that sounds like it's super boring. But it's actually not. It's going to be quite colorful. And I'm going to show you in a second. This is easily one of the coolest tools ever created, I think, or right now on the market. And this is a solution that you can start using as a beginner that is easy, like Notion. You don't need to code. You don't need to know anything about software at all, I would say. You can just start with absolutely zero. But it is a system that's actually used by companies like BlackRock as well. So some of the biggest companies in the world use the same software that we're now going to use to create your small little content calendar. All right. So it's pretty solid solution. All right. So here, this is the website from Airtable. Airtable is a tool that we're going to use today. It's a database solution, as I said, and they smash something in your face immediately that they call an interface. And these interfaces are so cool, right? They really give you, and that's what I said. This is not dry. They actually allow you to develop an app for everything. Like that's looking very intuitive, very colorful, easy ways to visualize your data. So that is one thing why it's a great solution. And as I said, there's big companies using that. AWS, Walmart, HBO, Time, Dropbox, right? There's a lot of companies using that. So over to the pricing solutions, because you obviously care about that. I must say to you right now, everything that I built today, and I'm going to show you today, and I'm going to use for the next couple of months is completely on the free plan. Obviously, they offer options, especially when you have over 1,000 records. So a record is a line. That would, in my case, mean that I have over 700 videos. That would be very good. And in that case, I'm happy to pay $20 or $40 a month. On the free plan, you even have up to 5 free editors. That's going to be my video editor. We're going to invite her later to edit my projects, right? Because that's what she's here for. You have obviously limited attachments per base, it's called, and then you are limited to 100 automation runs. I don't think we want to get into automations today. You can. It's basically, after you watched my last video on Power Automate, you would not struggle with this here at all. It's super easy. But yeah, a free plan is absolutely sufficient. So this here is what you get when you sign up. So here is where you are on the side, is where you have your workspace. So this is basically my workspace, and under there is only content creation. This here is basically, everything I have for content creation, and we're gonna create one more base. I don't want to get technical with all this wording. Nobody really cares about that. I get that. So base is basically like a it's a collection of your data, right? It's like a new worksheet in Excel, but it's cooler and gives you way more options. So let's keep it at that. And you can create unlimited of these. For example, if I would say something in my content base, I keep only content stuff. if I have something that is not really content, but somehow related, for example, my monetization for my personal brand, then I could create another base, right? But for now, let's start. You can actually start with AI. Don't want to do that. It's actually pretty decent. No templates, quick upload, whatever. You can do all that good stuff. But we want to learn how this shit here works. So let's start completely from scratch. Start from scratch, and it immediately tells you on the right side, hey, you can import from Google Sheets or Excel or whatever. There's like 1,000 things you can actually do in here. Again, let's ignore this. We want to learn from zero. Now, this is what you start with. And I know this may look a little intimidating. Let me show you how it will look in just 30, 40 minutes if you give me the time and if you follow along. All right. So we are going to see how we name our projects for our different videos. For example, this here is one of my videos, My Embarrassing Business. Honestly, one of my favorite videos that I ever created, where I tell you guys a very embarrassing story and how I failed a business because I was starting to become a scammer. Oh shit! But honestly, one of my favorite videos created. So I'm excited to share that with you. You will see how to set different types for your videos, how to add links to your videos, how to have statuses like approved, raw shot and edit, awaiting review, changes requested, right? And here you see already the character of I created this here to collaborate with my video editor. I don't want to do all this shit myself. I just shoot the video and then I review it. I request changes if I need to, and then at some point I approve it. And I want my video editor to finalize it, meaning export in the final export settings and put the link to the video immediately here. So I don't have to do shit, right? This is basically what I want. Also, I want the ability to add a thumbnail, and I want to add a whole thumbnail project with its own status, where it is, what it is for, right? With attachments and everything. So this is going to be super cool. So don't be intimidated by these lines here. I know it looks empty, and let's make it even emptier. We're going to get rid of all of these here. Right, just mark all of them, Command, click on them, and then delete 4 fields. So we start completely from scratch. Anyways, so here is what we want to do with this specific thing. We have an untitled base right now, so let's name this content planner. We can give it a color. Let's say green. Unfortunately, you can't get the cool colors. These here are actually more beautiful. I think I had this here before, but I downgraded to the free plan. Anyways, let's stay with green for now. And yeah, we want to first add a field. Let's add a field, and we want to call this a auto number. So the reason I want always to have an auto number field is I want an ID that is automatically created, right? This is not this here, this is the line number. This here is a unique ID for every record that gets ever created in this thing here. For example, if I click on here, it's going to create a unique ID. That means when someday I decide to delete this record and I click on plus again, it's never going to use the 4 again. It's always unique. So I have a guarantee that this number will not be doubled anywhere, because the whole reason why we use databases over Google Sheets is that we have linkability between your different records, and that means we need to have uniquely identifiable, clearly identifiable records. So the first step to achieve that is with one of these fields that they call an auto number. Right? So first let's add an auto number and call it ID. The second thing we want to add is a single line text. Single line text, we're going to name it name 1 for now. And this here, I actually want to change to the project. This is just a name for the field, right? Let's change this here back to name. Save. Now, why did I get rid of this here as the name? When you are in a Airtable database, or in any database ever, basically, they have something called a primary field. So every table has a primary field. This here is our primary field, and it's the most important field in this whole table because it's what's going to be used to link this table here to other tables. So what should your primary field contain? A unique identifiable description of what this record is. Unfortunately, you can't just take a 1 or a 2 because in another table that I create later, I may have 1, 2, 3 again as well, right? It's not really unique. As for example, would be a bad example as well is when I would call it YouTube video. That's not good enough, right? It's not going to tell you exactly what it is. I got to know exactly what this thing is. So we are having an ID and we're having a name. For example, my embarrassing business. Oops. I'm not even sure if you write that this way. I'm not sure. Let's say reaction Iman. God, see. Again, not sure if you write it this way, but let's say that's good. And then 3 learnings from software implementation. So this is for now what I'm going to call these. Let me make this a little bigger so I'm making sure everything is readable as well. And let's create one more video that we're going to call 365 days of vlogging. Because recently I completed 365 days of vlogging. All right. Now the reason why I left this field here empty, the field on the left side, is that I like to have a combination of the ID, for example, and the name, or different information in these records, right? Because that will give me a unique identifier. The way that you do that is click on Edit Field, and we need to change this here from single line text to a formula. Again, don't be scared. We're not going to see fancy code here in a second. Everything is good. What you want to do is you want to open curly, or let's make it super easy. Right? You don't even need to open curly brackets. You can just type ID, because this is the field here. ID, click on this. ID, then you put a space. Then you go for ampersand, space. Then you put these quotation marks. You put a space in the middle. Get out of there. Another space. And then you say name. And you click on this down here again. Now, if you guys are a little bit more technical, I would always use the curly brackets, right? It feels more natural, and you make sure that you don't misclick, and it's just faster. But this here will work if you don't know anything and are not too familiar with the code. One thing I forgot, sorry, you need another n% here. So it's ID, n%. Then this here is basically telling me the quotation marks are saying this is a text piece, and then there's nothing in there, but there's a space in there, right? So it's kind of okay, ID, space, name. Click on save. And now you see it immediately populates all these fields with the right information. So this is running differently than, for example, Google Sheets or Excel, right? Where you have to pull down formulas. Here you control everything from the header. This is basically the field, right? Everything is controlled from this field settings at the top. Now, this here is something that is unique. Even if at some point in the future, I would go there and say, I have, let's call this, for example, reaction, Iman, see, again, I will still have 2 unidentical records, right? This here is 2 reaction Imangazi. This here is 6 reaction Imangazi. So this way I will never double any information. I hope that makes sense so far. If yes, you're doing a great job to follow along. I know this can seem a little dry, but it will get pretty cool in just a couple of minutes. So now let's add the next field, and this is going to be a single select. Single select. You're going to name the field, and we're going to call it content. Content type. And we don't have the theme plan, unfortunately, but you can have color-coded options. Not the cool colors, unfortunately, but you can have some colors. So let's click on Add Option. You can select the color here. Now, let's say, for example, this here is a reel. Let's select another color. I think this here looks like a reel. This here is an Instagram color. And then this here is a YouTube. Well, let's get rid of the real color and give that to YouTube. All right, that's good enough. Great field. And now, whenever you click into one of these records, you can just select if it's a reel or a YouTube. All right, let's say like this. The same, by the way, as you could do in Excel, you can do it here, where you just grab a field, pull it down, and make everything YouTube. Obviously, that's not what I want to do right now. Let's leave it like this. All right. So this is basically already cool. So every time I come in and say, hey, I have a new idea for a project, I'm going to click on plus and I will say new idea. Or that's a little lazy. Let's say, databases with Airtable. I can say this is going to be a YouTube video. And I already have this project record here. So that's pretty cool. Now, obviously there's a lot of things, and this will start to get into the area where it's a little bit, it's a little bit individual. You can basically decide what you want to do. So what I want to do is I want to add a duration field. The reason for that is because everything over 59 seconds cannot go on YouTube Shorts. So if it's a reel, especially if it's a reel, I want to understand, is that 1 minute or less, right? Because if I have this information here, I can understand where I will use it on which platforms. Because I usually post everywhere, but obviously I don't post 1 minute 30-second reels on YouTube as not shorts. This doesn't make sense to me. So I'll just call this duration, right? So this is going to give you the, this is the duration. And down here, you have the formatting option. So I will say, it says hours or smaller. I will say I'm looking for minute and then seconds, something like this. Not a big fan. Minute, seconds. I think that's possible somehow, right? Honestly thought it was possible. Oh yeah, it is. 123. All right. So that works there, right? It shows me minutes and then seconds. So this is our duration field. This will be just informational, right? I will have a final video link. So I want, or let's first go for the status. Status, single select. Now name it status. Here we go. They changed the way that it works. Previously, you always had to search for, or first name it, then search for the field type. Now it's different way around. Wonderful. All right. Single select, add option. Let's say raw shot in edit for review. Changes requested. Approved. finalized. All right, you could do whatever colors you wanted. I don't want to waste your time clicking through colors, but this here is basically the the steps that I follow, right? So I shoot the video, and then I just put it here, and my editor can edit, send it to me for review, right? I'll get an email whenever she changes something for review. This is done in the automations up here. I can change it to either approved or change as requested. And when she sees it's approved, then she will finalize the video by downloading the file or exporting the final option, putting it on the Google Drive, because on a database here, you won't have enough space to store shit, right? Even with the Pro plan, you will always put this into a Google Drive or Dropbox or whatever. And then she will put the final URL here. Talking about the URL, let's add one more field, and let's make this an URL. So this will be final video link or URL. Right, so she can go here and say linusally.com. And this, when I click on it, will just be opened and lead me straight to whatever page. Right? I don't have that ready yet, but it actually leads it through a page, but it's just a template. Anyways, so what we have here, we can select status. For example, this is a raw shot, or this, let's say this here is already finalized because there's already a link. And this here is approved, basically waiting to be finalized. This here is for review. So she edited these two videos, and then we have raw shot. So she didn't even touch them yet. All right. Now there is at least, I have a lot of more fields. There is at least one more field that you definitely need for your content management, or what I think you need for your content management. And this is a date. And this should be either a due date for your editor, or it should be the post date, right? The scheduled date. I'm not talking about scheduling tools. I'm talking about the date when you actually want to release that, right? So let's say planned release date. And yeah, you can select different time zones. I don't really care about that. Display time zone, include time. You could do that. We obviously don't need that for posting a piece of content, I think. So just create the field. And now you can go in here, right, and select basically from a calendar. Let's say I want to post this video here in 1 week. All right. This is going to be especially important in a minute when I show you how to create a calendar view. And we're going to update all these dates by scheduling these videos here. You could also go a little bit more complex. For example, in my tool that I have here, I did create a formula to calculate the due date 2 weeks before the planned release date. You can do stuff like this, right? So I basically have a due date for my editor that is 2 weeks previous to my planned release date, because I always like to have 2 weeks of buffer because you never know what happens, right? So this is my idea. But this is not needed. I think this is actually already most of what you would want. What you could obviously add, and what we didn't add, because I never do that, but why not? I keep all my scripts on my tablet, but it just came to me. Why? Because most of you will probably not have an editor, and you will probably want a description. So the way you do it, or you should do it, is to add a long text, because a long text basically allows you to expand this here. Oopsie, situation. Oh no, here. To expand this here into a real text field. And you could start scripting your whole video, right? You could say, hey, topic 1, I don't know. And then you move on and schedule or script everything that you want. So whenever you shoot something, this here is your only source of truth. That would actually be pretty cool. So again, I don't do this, but this is an option as well. So just make sure that you select long text and not single line text, right? Because single line is just 1 line. All right. I think This is actually pretty good already in terms of what you will need. Let me zoom out a little bit because it's getting kind of cluttered. That's probably too much. This is already really good work. So if you followed along, congratulate yourself. You now have already a database with correctly formatted fields with a unique identifiable project number plus name that will always be unique, that you can now use to add all other cool stuff. You have description field, content type that you categorize, and you have a date for a planned release, and you have a different status to track this through a project lifecycle. Now, before we move on to cool technical stuff with the thumbnail, I want to show you something really, really, really great about this tool. This is basically why everybody's using Airtable and why it's so great. By the way, sorry, a quick interruption. I'm always talking about Airtable in this video. Yes, if you're a little bit more techy, then you probably heard about tools like, for example, Base Row or NoCodeDB. The reason why I'm showing this on Airtable is I think that they're the most sophisticated and they are here to stay. I am not sure when I look at an open source like NoCodeDB, what's great, a great tool, no shit, right? And obviously, in terms of pricing, brilliant because it's open source. But if I look at the community behind NoCodeDB and if I look at the support, right, this is not comparable. This here is a real business, and the other ones are more like startups. That's why I'm showing this here in Airtable, because they're here to stay. Their mobile applications work, right? Everything is good. But you could definitely do this here on another tool. Even if you're already on Notion, you could probably use this structure here that I'm showing you. On Notion, though, I don't think that the visualization for the next couple of steps will be equally as easy. I think the calendar view, etc., works. I'm not sure if they have a pre-delivered Kanban. So what you can add on these views here, on this table, this is just a table, right? So let's, by the way, let's rename this table to projects. You can add new views with the same data or parts of the data. So first, let us add a calendar view. It says calendar view collaboratively or collaborative. Yes, create new view. Choose a date field. That's why I told you it's important that you have a date field defined. And obviously the scheduled release date or planned release date does make a lot of sense. If you had multiple, you could select one of these, right? For example, in my case, it should either be the due date or the planned release date. Let's now go for the planned release date, click on done. And here you basically get a very simple calendar that you can, let's say we want to see a 6-week overview. Here you have my embarrassing business. Let me quickly go back to the grid view on the left side. We have only one of these videos planned. Please keep that in mind for just a second, right? The reaction, Imangazi, etc., or Gachi, however you call them, they are not planned yet. Go to the calendar. On the right side, you see all the things that are not scheduled yet. So let's say we're going to release this here. We're going to release that there. This here goes there. Now, let's go back to the grid view. Here are all your planned release dates. All right. And I think now is where you start to think, oh, okay, Linus, I get it. This is why fuck these Google Sheets and fuck Excel sheets. This year is way cooler. And it is, right? All here is interconnected. For example, let me show you another thing. Raw shot, these two videos. We're going to add another view. And this will be familiar if you watched my Trello tutorial, because this here is a Kanban system. Now you need a stacking field. And this is basically going to be one of your single select fields. The stacking field is basically your column, if you think so. Obviously, we don't want to stack on the content type because then it's going to show you one column with all your reels and one column with all your YouTube videos. Don't care about that. I want a column for each status. And you can even decide to hide empty stacks, but I hate this. So let's keep it open, click on done. And this here is going to give you pretty much the same like you would have in a Trello. And the good thing here is that it's way more interactive. And I mean, now there's no files attached or anything. Right? It's not beautiful yet. But this is a very easy, intuitive, interactive way to edit your data. Because you could say, for example, this 7 dB with Airtable that's currently in raw shot, I'ma just move that, right? Instead of going here and searching it and here clicking it down and whatever, I can work here and just move it to an edit. And now immediately when you go to the grid view, you will see the status change to in edit. And this is the great thing about this database. Like everything is just natively interconnected so well, and you have different views or visualizations to at any time, like just go in and yeah, do whatever you want. I mean, you could even have a gallery. Gallery won't make sense because we don't have pictures yet, but this would give you pictures, for your HR management or whatever. It's like a great solution to see and manipulate your data in many different ways. So absolutely brilliant. All right. This here is the Kanban view, this is the calendar view, this is the grid view. All right, so we covered this. I think that's great for now, so you should tap yourself on the shoulder, but we want to do a little bit more. And that is, my YouTube videos do need a thumbnail. I don't care about my Reels, but the YouTube videos definitely need a thumbnail. So how can we do that? Now, there's a couple of ways. I could just say, add a new field, attachment field, thumbnail. Move that over here, for example. And then I could drop files there or attach something. Let me browse files. Do I have a picture here on my? No. Yeah, I need to grab a picture somewhere. But yeah, I could just select a photo. Let me quickly see if I don't share anything client related, because that happened to me in the past. Just all the time. Let me quickly check that. This here is good. I can just take that. All right. Give me just one more second. And the good thing is we can either select these and add them directly, or we can link from a different table. And I think what we are going to do in just a second is we're going to select or save them to a different, connect them from a different table. Wow, I can really focus while I'm doing something else. That's great. All right. So now we should be able to have some photos here. Downloads. That works. So back to the demonstration. Share. In here, you could now go say thumbnail, add, for example, this thumbnail. Right? This is for one of the recent episodes or whatever. So you can go ahead and add the thumbnail. And by the way, this is pretty small, right? Not as great, maybe. Let's add another thumbnail. Open this. Oh, there's another option for the same thing, apparently. Great. All right. Obviously, this is a little small, right? The good thing is it doesn't compress it, so you can really open these things. And it's just going to be a very easy way. But you can also make these rows a little higher if you wanted that, right? You could have them bigger, make the so that you can actually see what these thumbnails are about. You could even now we could go ahead, go to a gallery view, create new view, And then here we would see these different tiles with the pictures, right? So that is actually pretty good. And you can customize these cards because now there's some annoying information on there. You could say, hey, we don't want to see the description. We don't want to see the ID. We only want to see the name and the picture, or maybe the content type as well, right? This way you can really easily create an overview for yourself. Honestly, I don't think the gallery view makes sense at all. So let's delete this view. But yeah, you have the Kanban here, and here you could probably customize the cards to include the thumbnail. And this makes it, again, a little bit more beautiful. I'm not super happy. Image field. Here we're going to select it. Thumbnail. Right? Oh, hang on. Now we're going to get rid of here. So there's an image field for these cards. And this is this. Right? So now you can see why I like this Kanban, because it basically gives you everything that you have in the gallery view, but it is stacked by a status. So this is the best view that you can select here. Now, from here, let's now tackle this thumbnail issue though, because how do I now add a new status to the thumbnail? I could add another status field, like a status thumbnail, and in the same line and everything. But let's be honest, that kind of sucks, right? The whole reason here was to keep it easy and lightweight and frictionless and not this, like super cluttered. So what I want to do is actually delete this whole field here, delete field. And what we're going to do is the better way of doing it. I'm going to just be quite frank with you. We're going to add a new table. We're going to start from scratch, and we call this thumbnails. Again, go here. Or we can leave the attachment field. We can leave that. Or we can, hang on. We can leave a lot of these. Let's delete these two fields. This is an attachment field. You can see that here. I'm going to call it thumbnail. Then this here is the status. We will leave that as a status, but we will add some options. Get rid of these. Let's say concept, in, edit, awaiting, review, approved. Now, obviously, you could add more options like I did in main view, but this is just to show you what's possible, right? Not to completely overkill. You can do this for yourself. Now, what I want to do for the thumbnail, though, is I want to link these thumbnails to a related project. I am never going to create, I hope this makes sense. I'm never going to create a thumbnail without a project. I'm not in the business of creating thumbnails. I hope this makes sense. All right. So when I say this, the reason why this is important is this here is not something unrelated. All thumbnails are related to projects, all of them. So I'm going to create a new field, and I'm going to call it link to another record. And this here is where it's just incredibly good. Like this software is killing it. Link to another record. Click on projects. This here is related project. Allow them to link blah, 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 blah. This is good. Create field. Oh, yeah, okay. I allowed it to link to multiple records. We probably don't want to do that, but it doesn't matter for now. So this here is always linking to the records defined by the primary field in bold letters up here in the project's view. 1, my embarrassing business. 2, reaction Imangazi. Right, click here, plus 1, my embarrassing business. 2, reaction Imangazi. All right. Sorry, guys, I'm distracted because this strange life is not working. So back to the thing, because this is the most important thing for you to understand. So I really want to make this clear. This here is now linked to this record. if you go over on this view here to the right, you will see there is a new field added. And this is not an attachment field, but it's a link to another record. So I can say in here, I want to create a new record in thumbnails, and we'll call it new test. And it's going to link to a new test record in here. There is new test. Obviously, this here is all dog shit. So let's get rid of this. This doesn't make any sense. And just to show you that, delete the record. Obviously, deletes it over here as well immediately. Right? Can't link to any dead data. So that's also a great thing about Airtable. Now, in here, what you just saw before is add lookup fields. Lookup fields basically allow you to bring over information from this other table that we are linking to, right? We're linking to projects, and it's allowing you to bring over more information. So it could, for example, bring over, what would be good? The planned release date I would like to see in this table here as well. And maybe this, I don't know. All right. The reason why this here is so incredibly great is the same, like I said in Google Sheets, for example. You at some point in these tables and spreadsheets and shit, you will start duplicating data. Here, you just create a lookup field, and it's gonna pull everything. You're never gonna duplicate any data again, right? You just, let's say, for example, I add the Iman Ghazi here. It's gonna bring the release date immediately, right? There's no video URL yet, but it's going to bring over the planned release date immediately. So that's pretty dope. Let's get rid of this here, and it deletes everything that it brought with it. Again, I just can't say it enough. This is a great fucking tool. Now, why don't we bring the related project over here? I think that would be good. This can stay here. Final video URL. There's a thumbnail. Now, you already know how I like to call the primary fields, right? You know, I don't like it to be just a name that you type in manually. I think there can be too many mistakes. We want to edit this field, make it a formula. By the way, I'm getting a little bit faster now because you've seen it before. So no worries. Let's say this here is the thumbnail ID, for example, and I'm going to call that thumbnail. Oh, by the way, sorry, yeah, I'm doing formula again, but this is basically text, right? So thumbnail in these quotation marks, %, quotation marks again, space, get out of the thing, %, and then I'm going to take the related project. Is that here? Yeah, that's here. It's invalid. Why is that invalid? Maybe we should. We could actually get rid of this whole thing here. Let's cancel for a second. Let's add a related project, my embarrassing business. Let's see if that's the issue. Edit field, formula. Again, I'm not a pro with that stuff here, so give me just a second. That should actually work. So thumbnail should work. So this way I'm getting rid of the %, and an empty space, and then %, blah, blah, blah. But we still got to concatenate with an %, and then we should be able to take planned project, actually. Related project. Checked. Save. Confirm change. I am honestly not sure what I did wrong the first time. Sometimes I just, you just forget something. Obviously this here looks, not perfect. Let's add one more in here. Save. Confirm change. This is good enough, I think. So the good thing about making your primary field, by the way, this is just a little bit more techy, these primary fields naming conventions, I'm a big fan of making them a formula because it's making it very easy to change naming conventions, especially if you have fast moving businesses. Right, with my corporate clients, it basically never matters. And nobody really cares. But I run into some problems with big ERP software like Oracle Cloud. They have some, lookup fields, they call it, where you can basically change naming dynamically, but they are rare. And it sucks if your customer at some point says, we misnamed them. We would want to have a different naming convention. Then it can get really, really hard because of the integrity of the data. Here, it's basically very, very simple because you basically just got to go in. Let's say, for example, we don't call them thumbnails anymore, but we call them Easter eggs, right? We could say Easter egg. Easter egg, my embarrassing business, for example. Obviously, let's just, can I? No, I can't. Let's just get rid of this here. Thumbnail 4 and the related project. Save. Yeah. All right. So this here is already the thumbnail page. This will have a status. For example, this is in concept. This is in concept, or let's say this is an edit. Awaiting review. Awaiting review. Concept. Let's drop my files in here. Upload. And upload this here. By the way, guys, let me know what you think. I think this here is not as good as the first one because there's just too much text. And why not just drop a new certification that I just got from Oracle in here? So we have at least something. All right, good. So these here are basically what we have. You will see here, this is thumbnail 4 until you create or map it to a different project. So let's say this is for 3, this here is for 5. Now, one thing that you might wonder is, Linus, I don't want to always switch these fucking things here. I want to really be able to enter this quickly. Oh, I immediately get the 8, right? My name for my project will be new quick video test. This is going to be a reel. The status is raw shot. The planned release date will be in 2 weeks. And yeah, I just don't want to go over there and create a thumbnail from there. You can create that from here. And now is something very cool because you could select an existing thumbnail. Obviously, this is a new project, so I'm just going to type new or some shit. It doesn't matter. Because we have a formula, you actually don't have to do anything cool here because it's immediately, now it's an unnamed record. Immediately when I click out of this here and click on it again, it's thumbnail for 8 new quick video test. So it's named perfectly, right? It's named perfectly thumbnail 4 and then the ID that I have on this line here. So this here is going to take care of a lot of your social media management struggles. I'm going to be honest with you. And this here is applicable for everything else. By the way, we're not done yet. So stay for some more cool stuff because I'm going to show you how to quickly build an app around this. But I just want to mention something. For example, you can have more dependencies than just a thumbnail. You could have different things. For example, in my case, when I mentioned in the video, hey, comment something, and I sent you a video for free or something, You've all seen these videos, comment burger, and I sent you the free guide. In this case, a dependency for my video release would be a working ManyChat automation or something like this that will actually read the comments, and when somebody comments burger, it sends the thing out in my Instagram DMs. It wouldn't probably, I'm a small creator, so it's not yet a dependency that's super important. I could do that manually, but for bigger creator, it's super important. So you would then go ahead, create another table, And it's going to be super quick, right? Another table, start from scratch. Let's say automations. We're going to get rid of these here, right? Let's say delete 4 fields. Here I would say link to another record. This is going to be linked to our projects. I'm going to create the field and say related project. And I'm going to bring over the thumbnail release date. Thumbnail, I don't care actually. Project. No, I don't care about that. Yeah, I do care about that. So planned release date and project. Add 2 fields. Search my embarrassing business. Oh, I don't need this here. Planned release date is here. And then I'm going to say this is formula. I'm going to make it a formula. I'm going to type in automation for, and then I would say related project. Yeah. Save. Confirm change. Oh, it's something very important, obviously. I need a trigger word, right? For example, burger. Trigger word, burger, status, single select, status. All right, I think you get the hang of it, right? You could add an option, whatever. You could write here, add options. I don't know, done, not done. Something like this here, right? So this here is basically my deadline, the planned release date. This is the trigger word. And I could even say, this formula has to include the trigger word. So would, for example, be automation for, and then I have trigger word, concatenate that, confirm change, automation for burger. Yeah, I could have added one more space there, but you get the hang of it. So I have a new interface, a new overview where I manage my automations, etc., and track the status of that, right? And then could, for example, go for the calendar view and say, hey, I need to see the planned release date for just my automations, right? So I have another calendar now that shows me just the automations that are pending and not everything like I saw in here. When I go to the calendar here, I see all my posts, right? So this is basically the big upside of something like this is, so you can have all your dependencies in here with the same method that I just showed you. Now, congratulations to you for making it so far. Now, though, we want to spend just a couple more minutes to create an interface, and this is where it's honestly really, really cool. I want to show you something before we get into that. Obviously, my interface is not too cool. Michelle's interface is actually better. I think I showed that to you already, though. Let me quickly grab that here. So yeah, this is on the tablet. It's not too great. On a computer, it's better. But this is basically Michelle's interface, where she can have this on her phone, on a tablet. But this is designed for a monitor, so it will look better on a monitor. And the good thing is it gives her these numbers here. For example, deadlines this week. When she clicks on that, it immediately, this requested changes. Oh, this is good as well, right? So this requested changes, and it immediately shows her the videos that I requested changes on that she has to take action. So she can just click on that, and it gives her, sorry, I can't use this thing here apparently while I'm talking. And it gives her the whole record of everything. Right, and she knows what project it's about. She can start working on this. She can edit this here on the fly. So this is really, really cool. Now my board is very simple. Let me check that here. Yeah, my dashboard is super simple because I don't care. It's not my job, right? So I hope you can somewhat see that. So in the top, it says today's posts. So this is very important for me because I travel a lot and shit like this. Or, you know, sometimes I'm at 3 o'clock in the morning in fucking Bogota, and I forgot that I have to, or I know that I still have to post my video. I do not want to do research and find the stupid thing. I want to have everything on the phone. So I have a tile here that I can then open, just click on the video, have the URL link, have the thumbnail, download it, post it. Done. Then I have something just for information, you know, like, hey, party, this is how many videos we already posted. And then down here is the mix for the next month in terms of videos, because I want to get a little bit more into YouTube, but I only have 2 YouTube videos, and I think then 20 reels or something. So this is just a small, quick graph. This is basically everything. I don't have anything more on my thing here. One thing that I have in the real version is with Michelle. We have a conversational feed there where we can assign tasks to each other. There's also owners to these records, etc., etc. But anyways, let's quickly create one thing. I'm thinking, what can we create? Probably most of you won't have a video editor, right? Nah, I don't think so. Better for us. So that's easier then. Click on interfaces. Here, you just click on start building. We don't want to build a form, we build an interface. You can select a nice smiley. I like, for example, now I will spend an unreasonable amount of time on searching. Ah, this is good. Let's just say content systems Saturday interface. Obviously, you could find a better name probably. Next. You have a bunch of things to choose from. You want to go for dashboard. Click on next. Oh, by the way, here it allows you to select either for mobile or for desktop. I would highly advise you to use the right version. But yeah, for now, let's just go desktop. And click on here, select the table that we're looking for, but we don't look at thumbnails, we look at projects. For now. So click on projects, click on finish, and it gives you this piece of crap here that we don't care about. Let's get rid of this here. Don't care at all. And this is super intuitive. Remove. First, we want to look at these counts. And I'm quickly going through this because I know a lot of you, this has already been great. You did a great job building this here. And this would honestly be enough already to keep track of everything, to have your thumbnail projects here added, right? To have everything interconnected, super cool, or to even work from this Kanban here if you wanted to. Again, right? This is a great tool already. But the interface is kind of cool if you want a little bit more visualizations. So that's why we're gonna touch on the count for now. I really like this count because it not only gives you a number. We click on that, we can name it, for example, deadlines. Next 7 days. That would, for example, be interesting to me, right? To see what videos or what deadlines are coming up in the next 7 days, what projects I have. So we can filter by add condition where the planned release date is within the next 7 days or the next week. Let's make it easy on ourselves. Yeah, that's it. So number of deadlines in the next 7 days apparently is 1. Let's change this here to red because it's deadline, you know. And yeah, upcoming projects. I think that's cool. I hope you agree. So let's go back here to data just for a sec because this is important. Let's go back to data and check if this is actually working. You always want to check if that's working. Today is May 17th. So let's pull a couple of videos in here, changing obviously the planned release date. This should now give us in interfaces a 4. Yeah, this is 4. Now you would say, well, that doesn't serve me anything if I just see a number, and you would be right. I think what you want to do is double click and it asks you, do you want to allow users to see underlying records? Now, the reason, guys, why we actually build this here normally is to share this data with certain permissions to certain people. So for example, my video editor does not have access to the table that you and me just built, right? She is only in these interfaces here. That's where she's working. She's never in the tables. She's never in this view. She doesn't have access to this view. She cannot do anything in here. I only shared with her the interface. So this is really, really, really neat, and it gives you all the options to control what people can do. If you don't have people that you're working with, this is also great, because I think it immediately on one glance gives you what you need to decide what you want to work on. So double click on allow, and now it's going to expand. Whenever you click on this thing, you now see this arrow. It's going to expand this, and it's going to give you the projects that you need to work on, right? This is great. Again, on the right side, now that we have this view, it's kind of stacked, you see. On this view, you also have new user actions that you can allow or disallow. For example, export as CSV, we don't care probably, but click into the record details, right? You obviously want to be able to click into that and then see the whole project. You want to be able to edit these things, right? So right now, for example, you wouldn't be able to change this status. You want to click on editable, confirm, and now you will be able to, go select, change the status. You can work from here. It's actually a really nice overview. Everything is there. And you could even add button actions. Okay, we got to stop because this is probably stuff for another video. But with these buttons, you can execute like workflows. You could send emails or whatever you want to do, right? There's a bunch of shit you can do. And the cool thing is, this here gives us a bunch of shit that we don't need to see, right? The ID, I don't give a damn. So let's hide this. Description, I actually do give a damn. Duration, well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could leave it as this, but for now, let's just hide description, content type, and status. You could do that. Obviously, this doesn't make any sense. Let's bring them back. But you see what I'm saying, right? This is so easy to design a workable interface that makes it really easy for you to organize your shit. I think that's absolutely awesome. By the way, if you want data from somewhere else, click on add group, and now you could say, for example, hey, I also want to see the upcoming automations. So you could say, I want to add a number here, and I want to see deadlines here. For example, you could do that, right? Not saying you should, but you could do that, give it a color, deadlines for automations. Now you could filter again by where the planned release date. And look, this here is where it's, right? Now we're in the automations tab. Let's go back. Automations, grid view. Here, the date field is called planned release date from related project because it's a lookup field. It's pulling the information from this linked record from this project thing. Again, the interconnectivity of this shit here is just dope. But that's why when you go in here, you see this planned release date from related project, right? And then let's say is within the next 7 days again. All right, and then you see you have one automation to work on. Again, if you want to be able to expand on that, click this. Yep, you can just try to click in here as well, right? You don't have to go to the side panel. You can just try, click on allow, click on editable, for example, confirm, and now you will be able to do everything here. So this is just the numbers. Let me show you one more thing, right? Because this here is very simple. You could, for example, also decide for the projects view, right? So you don't have to add another group. You can go in here, click on plus, and I want a Kanban. Seems somewhat familiar, right? It's basically what we already built, but you see, hey, it's stacking on the reel and YouTube. This doesn't make any sense. So the stacking field we need to change to status. Now we see raw in edit, but the problem is I can't fucking move these tiles. So, all right, let's make edit records inline. Now I'm able to move them. So again, you will need to look through these here a little bit, honestly. Project management. But I think I'm gonna be honest with you. I think it's so visually pleasing that I'm not even turned off by this. You know, a lot of times the software shit gives you the ick. I don't like to use this word, but you know what I mean, right? It's like so heavy and looks so ugly. So this here is this is kind of cool. Obviously, the fields I would like to see a little bit more. I would like to see the content type, and then I would like to see the planned release date, maybe. The status, obviously, we don't need to see because it's here, right? And then I want to see project detail, allow, right? So I want people to be able to click into these different records. And then obviously, again, I can say view only or editable, right? These are the different options. You can add your picture in here somehow. What we saw before, you could do basically, right, the image field on the right side here. Oopsie, where's the image field? Oopsie. Oopsie. Good point. We removed the image field. Let me quickly show you that. It's also good if something happens. Go back. We actually don't have an attachment field in here anymore, right? Because I removed it. I deleted it because we have this thumbnails thing here now. So what I can do is go to the thumbnails thing, add a lookup field. So it's going to add a new field, and it's going to add the thumbnail field on the right side here. So now I have the image field. Let's go back to interfaces. Let's go back to my stacking thing here, the Kanban, image field, thumbnail. Honestly. Oh, I think it's a little small. Let's make it medium, large. Honestly, tell me, can it get easier than that? I'm honestly not sure. I'm honestly not sure. And you can do so many cool things in here. You can add like pivot tables. This team timeline is also very cool. Gallery, Kanban. You can go in and add, let's say, a bar chart or line chart, pie chart. Would just say I saw before a donut. Yeah, you can literally do everything. I think that was a quick overview to give you an idea of what you can do. You will be able to click around here as you like, and then you can basically just go ahead and publish this thing. Click on publish, and it opens it here. It's sometimes confusing to move around in Airtable. So here's a quick tip for you. You can either click on this here to edit the pages. It brings you back into edit mode. Or you go here to go back to your home page where we started off, and then you find your interface here next to your base. It says interface content planner. Obviously, this here is not as beautiful as the one that I just showed you because I put a little bit more time and effort. I put multiple counts here at the top, but I hope to have given you an idea of how easy this is. And it's really, really nice to have an option to manage your flow of data that easily. And you could even go ahead and add multiple new pages, for example, a calendar view, like everything that you saw before, you can do here as well and say, hey, I want to also have access to my planned release dates. And now you're already getting into starting to build like an app, right? You have different tabs on the left side, and you will be able to just go through all of them, click on publish for a real quick, and I show it to you how it looks when it's done, right? This is really, really dope. Projects here, you can reschedule something. Oh, I didn't enable editing, but you know how to do that, right? Double click on the thing and then it will tell you, hey, do you want to allow that? But yeah, that's basically it. That's how you can build a fully custom solution in Airtable to use for either for yourself or obviously what I didn't show you with your editor. So if you are here, edit pages, you could share this view. And again, be careful with how many people you share it with, right? Because you only have so many people you can share it with on the free plan. Otherwise, you will get charged. But you could invite somebody by email, and then they will have access to using that thing depending on how you defined your security guidelines. And that's the great thing. If you don't want them to, they will never be able to harm your data. They will never be able to get into your actual data. And I think it's the best way to give your video editor, for example, or your team everything they need without giving them the option to screw up valuable data right on the back end by deleting a bunch of records or whatever. Because this is what a lot of people are kind of afraid of when they start off delegating to other people, like, oh God, I can't trust this guy, maybe he'll delete all my data. And this here is a really, really good way. Create an interface, give them something, or if you're cool like me, honestly, I'm not sure how much I will actually use this app, but I think it's so cool that I want to start using that and just do the posting from my phone every day. And I just click today's post, it goes off, and then I can just open the project, download it, and upload it directly from my phone. I think that's dope. I hope this here helped you out a lot. I think there is multiple different tutorials on YouTube on Airtable if you want to get deeper into that. I'm by no means an expert, right? Obviously, we didn't get into anything technical here. You could do formulas, you could do barcodes, and a lot of cool stuff that I would do with my clients. Automations we didn't touch. But I honestly don't think that your issue is, or most people's issue when it comes to content creation, is that they're missing an automation. That they don't get notified when their editor uploads a new video. They can also get a Slack message. I think the issue is that everything seems chaotic and it feels like you constantly have to reinvent and overwork the whole thing and replan again. And it's basically like when you're still doing your to-do lists on a piece of paper. It feels nice, right? You have all these colors, but then something changes, then you have to put all the notes into the new notes, and it's just messy. This is where software comes in. And the reason why so many people don't use software because they think it's hard and it's ugly, and it's neither. As you saw, it's very easy. It will take you probably 3-4 hours to build this here, not gonna lie. But afterwards, you will first have a valuable skill that you could use to also, for example, organize your finances, etc. Right? If you are interested in that, we could make another video where I show you how to actually put some more formulas, because we didn't work with any formulas today, right? We basically just concatenated text. But you can calculate everything in here. It's like, it's a database. You can do everything that you want in here. So, yeah, hope that was helpful for you. And maybe next week we will get into the Trello automation, because it seems like the Trello guys lose every single week when it comes to voting for what we're going to do this System Saturday. Yeah, but hope you found this interesting, and then see you in the next video.